Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I am here in the home kitchen of Diane Lam. I want to say thank you again for joining us. I'm with the Pacific Northwest CSA Coalition, and this is Making Magic with Your Share. Before we get going, a couple of announcements. We are recording this, so just be aware that this is going to be available at a later date. If you would like to ask questions, go ahead and you can pop them into the Q&A, or you can always just start chatting and we will take your questions as they come up and as we can. Please feel free to have a conversation while we're at it. As we are a very small nonprofit, we love it when people donate to us, and we have a thank you gift. This is our brand new signature tote bag. So if you donate $50, you'll automatically get one of these bags. It's heavy canvas. It's great for the farmer's market. It's great for picking up your CSA share. If you are able to donate at the $100 level, you will get that bag full of all kinds of artisanal curated goods. There's going to be a bottle of wine. There's going to be a little whiskey. There's some peppermint tea from Smith Tea Maker, and lots of local food that's wonderful to cook with your CSA share. So please pop on over to our website if you're able to donate. We would love to have you join our club. Let me introduce to you Diane Lam. She is the chef and founder of Sunshine Noodles, the Cambodian noodle house, and Pray and Tell Fried Chicken. And this is a brand new venture for her, the fried chicken, and both of these places are located in Psychic Bar in North Portland. So without further ado, Diane, show us how to get through our share.
Hi. Okay, so I have everything here that you would typically find. Some items are a little bit ahead of the season, but I just really wanted to show some variety in what you can do in your boxes as as you kind of work your way through the seasons. We have some cabbage, baby fennel, which I love, carrots, green onions, radishes, more radishes, cipollini red and yellow, romesco, squash, and green beans. So I live alone, and sometimes it's really hard because all these ingredients, you're just like, oh gosh, there's so many meals. But really the way I kind of eat throughout, my week is I just take out stuff, reheat stuff, just make things on the fly. So I like to have things that are like flavor bombs. So when I go to the grocery store, on weeks where I don't have that much time, I actually buy a lot of my stuff from the deli section. So I'll buy a ton of roast vegetables. I'll buy a ton of pickles. I'll buy, olives. I'll buy things that, you would find in a charcuterie platter, but I rework them into my meals so that I can make pasta, like really quick pasta dishes, quick salads. And I'm also a late night eater, so I love to snack, but I really don't like to snack on chips because it's not that satisfying to me. And if I did want to eat chips, I would make them into nachos, and I would use these items that I'm going to make with you today to do that. So we're just going to go through everything. Okay. It's a lot for me. Like, this would be a lot for one person. However, it's not, because you'll see that once you kind of work them into really strategic roles in your diet, it's kind of something that you can easily work your way through. So yeah, let's just go through some techniques. We're going to start with something that's going to take the longest. So I always do certain things. I like all these cipollini onions. They're, for one item, for one purpose, it'd be a little bit too much, but I like to break them up in half. So I like to keep a bowl of, I like to make a huge roast vegetable mix. And so I will basically use half of it for these kind of like, I'll call them jammy pickles. So basically what you'll do is you'll boil them in a vinegar solution, and basically it'll boil down into this like really jammy consistency. And they're really good to put on a charcuterie board, in a rice bowl, in a salad, just so many ways, right? Okay, so with this, I'm going to use my paring knife. Every cook that comes through my kitchen, I always make them like go through a stent of using a paring knife, just because you just are more precise. And I never ever like to just make a slit and then cut the top layer. I'll go through and just really see, where each layer ends and where it goes. So, and you can only really do that with the paring knife, and I'll just scrape as it goes. So then we have this cipollini. So I'm going to basically cut them into quarters. So the best example or the best strategy I would use with a paring knife is you never actually want a sharp paring knife. Like, this is super dull, because you're always going to kind of slice it towards your hand. And it sounds scary, but your control is the amount of pressure that you're putting from here to here. It's a knife, so it'll always be sharp, but like you just don't want to keep. When I was first starting to cook, I thought it was really important to have a sharp everything. And I would, at the end of the night, just get slits of, like the blade just falling into my finger. So I learned really quickly that that's not the most important thing. The most important thing to a paring knife is really just the flexibility and the precision of doing things. And I really just don't really like taking off too much of the ends either. I'll go as little as I can. And again, that's kind of one of the benefits of a paring knife. So yeah, I'll answer some questions as I peel this, if you have any. If not, you're just gonna watch me peel away. I'm actually just going to kind of make this up as I go. I didn't really plan on, making it really curated. So I have a list of condiments here, and I can loosely go through them. With this dish, I love onions and balsamic vinegar. So to me, it only makes sense to boil it down with a little bit of ponzu and some red wine that I always have on hand. Because I, for some reason, can't ever get through a bottle of red wine. And so I'll just have stockpiles of wine just, ready to be cooked with. And so what I'll end up doing is searing these onions and then deglazing it with red wine and vinegar. Is there a paring knife that you recommend? Do you have a favorite type? No, it's funny. Paring knives and larger knives, you can really buy as many as you want, right? You can buy as many butcher knives as you can. Actually, no, you can buy a butcher knife, you can buy a fillet knife, you can buy a poultry knife, you can buy a vegetable knife, you can buy a cleaver, but paring knives, you only get to buy one. So I always choose one that just always fits my hand. I always check just the balance of the knife. And I always kind of feel it just to see if it's like the weight. And I really enjoy a really light head and a really bottom heavy paring knife, just because I like the security of the way it feels, But funny story, I in the kitchen, I've never lost a paring knife, but I don't like using expensive ones in a commercial kitchen, just because it just gets banged up. I'll put it in my pocket, or just random stuff. But at home, I'll go with a really kind of nicer one. So this one is a single bevel kind of Damascus one, and it's really short, just because I like to choke up on things. So I don't like paring knives where the blades are too long, because you don't really have control. As you can see, this already kind of takes up most of the blade anyway. So it's stuff like that. Oh, ponzu is a seasoned, so it's like a mixture of dashi, and soy and yuzu. And there's many different types of quality levels. I always check the ingredients to make sure that dashi, ponzu, and dashi, soy, and yuzu are the first couple ingredients, because sometimes people will use like extracts of bonito and all that stuff to make it. You can make it yourself, and that's really great too. I just, have not been able to do that. It gives off like a really light soy flavor, and has a little bit more depth to it. So I'm going to use half of this for my stewed down cipollinis, but half of it for my roasted vegetables. And you'll see that a little bit of everything is going to go to the roasted vegetables. Okay, so I'm going to start this now. I'll be off camera for a sec. Yeah. Okay, next we're gonna go with let's do the carrots. So carrots are always super hard because I always think like, oh, what can I do? I always put carrots in a stock and I always eat them in a crudité, but like, what else can I do with them? So I have thought of very, very fun ways of doing it, but I'm gonna wash these first. Okay. So first I'll put some in my roast vegetable mix. So I'll cut some of the tops. I always have intentions of using the tops, but I never get through greens enough to do so. But okay, so these carrots, before I peel carrots, I always think of two things. One, how dirty do they look? And if I could just wash them off, then I'm good. And two, how thick they are. So I'll cut the tops and just see whether they're like thick or not, just because it can be really tough. But these are really thin, so I'll just end up using them without peeling them. Oh, like I'll just always look at the discoloration on the outside rim of the carrot, because sometimes they're like really young and like it's okay, but sometimes you'll see like this kind of like discoloration around the kind of the meat, and then I'll decide whether or not I'll peel them or not. But also if it's like super dirty in the ridges, then I'll just peel them. But I'm not going to peel these now. So I'm going to cut them in to my roasted veg. So a little bit about the roasted veg. I never roast vegetables at any other temperature besides 500, because I always view it as like if I were to saute them, because it's like going to take forever to saute them in a pan. But for me, it's just easier if I just put them on a baking sheet and roast them at a 500-degree oven. And it literally takes like 15 minutes. So it's great. Then what I like to do is I like to create, in Korean grocery stores, they make these things called banchan. So it's a mixture of just like seasoned vegetables. It's not always pickled and it's not always fermented either. And it's kind of like a misconception, I think, about Korean banchan. And so I'm going to make a banchan with shaved carrots and shaved radishes. And so we'll kind of work that as my pan gets really hot. So my pan's super hot, so I'm just going to make this. So we're going to do like a lot of multitasking. Okay, I'm going to be running around. At the middle of this demo, I might drop something. So don't worry. So I don't know if you could hear it, but the cipollinis are cooking. Meanwhile, I'm going to shave my carrots. So I'm basically going to shave them into strips as such. And then after it gets to a certain, after it gets kind of halfway through the carrot, I'll turn it into a third of the carrot, and then I'll do that. And then I'll slice it. So scary. Okay, and then I'll do this side. It might be easier too if you just use your cutting board and just shave. So I'm making little shavings, and then all these like, you know, bottom ones that I can't get to, I'll just put into my roasted vegetable mix. So I'll kind of do this. So I'm letting my kind of cipollini onions get a char. It's cooking on a cast iron, and I'm going to season it really fast. Okay. So I'm going to keep going. Ah. 15 minutes. Yeah. Okay. So then I have these carrots here. So the panchan, usually you can only use for like 3 days. So I always kind of incorporate it in as fast as I can. Also, when you're making these kind of mixtures, you always want to remember that herbs, like any sort of herbs like cilantro and such, aren't really good things to mix beforehand. So you want to kind of keep those herbs that can like spoil as finishers, as garnish. Okay, so my onions are going crazy. So I'm going to mix them around. They're in, so I do a 80, like a 80-20. I do 80% canola, 20% olive, just for like the canola just having a better like heat and the olive oil having better fragrance. Okay, what am I doing now? Oh yeah, I'm gonna make the sauce for the deglaze for the onions. So we have really little bit of balsamic vinegar. I'll probably put in like 1/8 of a cup. And then I'll put in about a tablespoon of sugar. And then I'm like, should we make it spicy? No, not making it spicy. Okay, and then I'm going to mix it. I'll add a little ponzu, a little water because it's super hot and it'll burn. And then I'll add some red wine that I never, ever get to finish. And then I'll pour it into my sauteed onions. Where's the towel? So it's like, oh my God, it's like screaming and getting jammy. You know, so it's like pretty, as chefs like to use the word nappe, because it just will like kind of, all the liquid will evaporate. And as you can see, it's pretty fast, like jammy. Oh, okay. So the red wine, I probably used 3 tablespoons. Water, I probably used 2 tablespoons. The balsamic vinegar, I used probably like 1/8 of a cup, and the ponzu, probably 3 tablespoons. And sometimes you could use soy too. I like ponzu just for that flavor. And so this is like a little bit watery. I want it to be au sec, which means that barely any water is in. So I'll probably put it back on the stove and let it kind of simmer. Another trick that you can use if you think that the flavor is too intense is you can add, it's like so, this is what happens when you live in an apartment. Oh my God. So smoky. I like, there's no smoke alarm that will happen because I covered it, so just don't tell anybody. I know better. Okay, anyway, so that's that. So we're gonna go back to our panchan. So we're gonna do the radishes now. Radishes are great to be roasted. So I'm basically going to roast half of them. I'm actually gonna put this into a simmer. Okay. Whew. Okay, so I'm probably going to put half of my radishes into the roast. I'll include the greens just because that will taste delish. Work really fast. I'm gonna work as if I'm in a restaurant, because in a restaurant, all of this should be done in an hour. So it's crazy.
So another question from the audience: what knife style do you like best?
Oh, I really like nikiris, which are Japanese vegetable knives. Like the acid in the air.
How do you spell nikiri?
Nikar. No, Nikiri. It might be super wrong. And my friend Matt, he used to cook with me. He's probably watching this, like laughing at me right now because I spelled it wrong. Matt asked the question. You know what it sounds like. You know how to spell it. What are you doing? He's doing this on purpose. That's so funny that he asked that. What a jerk. Okay. Yeah, Matt L. That's funny. Okay. But yeah, but also I'm a huge person on basically using the same knife for everything. So I just like the size of a nikiri, and I like the weight of a nikiri just because it's used for vegetables. It might sound really terrible for people who are serious knife lovers to hear that I use it for everything. Oh, it's starting to almost burn. Okay, it almost burned, so I'm just gonna get some water. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so then I also exclusively only cook on cast irons because I don't really like non-sticks, and I like the flexibility, like the non-stick flexibility of a cast iron. I found this is a vintage Le Creuset cast iron that I found in San Francisco. Someone was selling things on the street, and this was like all rusted over. And I was like, oh, what is that? And they were like, this is my grandmother's cast iron. And I bought this for $40, but it's like so expensive online. So it's like one of those things, you know? Okay. So now we're gonna finish our puncheon. So we have one of our things now. I'll put some black pepper on it. Okay, so I'm gonna start shaving these. So I love shaved radishes. I actually will just keep a bunch of shaved radishes in the fridge. And then again, like radish top, I'll just roasted vegetable pile. Just because either I like to basically salt them down and make a tsunamono type of situation out of them. They're really good that way. You basically can use them as a pickle. And that's what basically we're gonna make right now, a quick tsunamono, which is basically like, you know, a quick pickle of something that isn't really a preserve. The pickle isn't really used as a preservative, but more so like a flavor agent. But you can't eat it for more than like 3 days. Look how pretty. It's like actually really, really nice. Wait, can they see it if I'm right here? Never mind. Okay. Okay. So I'm just gonna do that. Mandolin work is actually really scary for a lot of people, but there's a trick. You basically just use the tip of your fingers to push down. And if you're even scared of that, then I would just triple glove. Use like a disposable gloves and just triple them up. Another trick is to using the palm of your hand, but I like to use, I know. Okay. So I'm now going to salt this and we're going to season it at the end. So I'll probably salt it. I like to salt according to how much salt I would consume in a dish. So I never, I never worry about how little or how much because I'm like, oh, okay, this seems like a reasonable amount that I can consume. So I'm going to salt this. Also, this is a really good time to add flavoring agents because what's happening is the salt is pulling out water, but also it's taking in things as well. So having things like pepper and spices will just penetrate the vegetable, which is cool. I'm just going to do salt though. I also have this wakame that I'm going to rehydrate. So I'm going to do that. Okay, there's so many cool things that you can make with romesco and cauliflower and brassicas, but for just this demo, because every time I get a cauliflower or a broccoli or a romesco in my CSA, I'm like, oh God, what do I do? So I just end up just making it into roasted vegetables. I'm sorry, but that's basically what I recommend doing. I always cut the cabbage in half or the romesco in half. And then I always ride along the edge. Maybe I'll use a paring knife. And then I'll just take the core off and then these just kind of come off easily. So I will do that. Just such. And do the same thing. So the roasted vegetables throughout my meal the rest of the week. So it's nice to put into a salad. It's nice as a side dish. My friend is getting married this summer. And so we're all on Whole30, kind of. I'm not on Whole30, but I'm just saying that I am. But the best way that I like to diet is by eating beans. I follow a slow carb diet. So I'll eat beans, vegetables, and meat constantly. So this is kind of my savior. I just make my veggie mixes really, really good. So then so far in here, we have carrots, cipollini onions, radishes, and romesco. Hit me up if you ever want more romesco ideas though, because I've got them. But we're not doing that today. Okay, next, we're gonna do, I call this a savory pickle. Oh yes. I call this a savory pickle where you're pickling as you're sauteing. So we made this one like a jammy kind of mixture, but this one we're gonna hold in pickling liquid. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna cut them first. I'm gonna get another bowl. Where are my bowls? I'm just gonna use this bowl. Okay, so I'm gonna cut them. So I'm using a knife technique called an oblique. And obliques are used because you want, like, you know how this is kind of tapered and these are rounder, you want them to be a consistent size. So by cutting them at an angle, you can kind of make them consistent in size. So you see, so it's like better for consistent cooking. And that's kind of what this cut was made for. So there's that. So again, I'll probably do half of it in my pickle and then some of it in my, but meanwhile, oh, that's not going there. I'm gonna clean my cast iron. Okay, the best way I clean my cast iron is basically getting it really hot, so it might get smoky again, but I'll put salt on it and then I'll scrub it out. And yeah. weird having like a camera on me while I'm cutting this is so funny. Okay, so then there's that. And then I'm gonna make, while my cast iron is getting hot, I'm gonna make a sauce to deglaze. But also, as you can see, the wakame is getting soft. So just wanted to dive in on that. So let's see, what should we do? I always keep flavor condiments on hand because like, I don't like to do a lot of work on flavor building. So I have right here pepperoncini. I have a salsa matcha, and then I like every single product by Fly by Jing. She's just amazing. She's based out of LA, and she just makes really good products. Yeah, shout out to Jenny. Oh yeah, so this is a salsa matcha. Salsa matcha is basically like a chili mix of a mix of chilies, seeds. Oh, here. Should I just do this? Okay, this is, yeah, it's basically a mixture of peppers, and this is so funny. Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Okay, this is a, yeah, chili and seeds mixture, usually called salsa matcha. Really good because I just like the essence of the seeds and the chili, and I like to play around with the flavor seconding. And then this one is Fly by Jing. I have the lid open, but it's the zong sauce. So there's like chili oil, a little bit of soybean oil. That's basically it. Really, I like to look at the ingredients a lot. This is just dried pepperoncini. Wait, oh my God. Okay, this is just preserved pepperoncini. So this is really good. All right, so let's make these spicy and sweet. So we're gonna add, and my cast iron's heating up. So we're gonna add a little bit of sugar. We're gonna add, let's also make it funky. So let's add some fish sauce. Okay, I use Mega Chef. I use Mega Chef, okay, I'll do it here. I use Mega Chef for when I'm cooking, and I'll use 3 crabs for when I'm making soup. I actually like to use different fish sauces because it's not like a one product thing. It's like there's different types of vinegars, right? So there's different types of fish sauce. You don't use balsamic in a vinaigrette. You don't use like thick balsamic in a vinaigrette, or you don't use rice vinegar in a mignonette, or like balsamic vinegar in a mignonette. You know, you use like different ones. So I treat that same with fish sauce. Okay, so we're gonna make it spicy. So I'll add the pepperoncini, mix that up. And I'll probably use some zong sauce because I like the soybean quality in it. And also chili peppers are also very different from each other. Pepperoncini has this like fruitiness, and this one kind of has like this weird smoky density to it. So yeah, I'll put this right here. Okay, so now I have this mixture of fish sauce, chili oils, and sugar. I'm gonna add a little bit of water. Actually, let's use some white wine that I have. That I always get to this bottom level and I don't understand why I can't just drink one more glass, but I never do. Okay, so I put that in there. All right, so now I'll actually bring my cast iron to you just to show you how I clean it. I hope I have some time. I have like two more things left to do. Okay, get another towel. Okay, so this is my cast iron. I put a little salt on it, nice and hot. Then I take foil. I don't know if anyone does this, but this is definitely my method. I take some foil, and then I crumple it up, and then I just use it to take the carbon off. But to me, this is like so much better than using a nonstick, because I also don't like having a bunch of pans. Ow. I also don't like using a bunch of pans. So I like to just use like one pan for everything. So then it's kind of at this point where all the stuff is off, and I just take a towel and I just wipe everything off. And now it's ready for my next move. So then I oiled my pan. I'm gonna wait for it to get hot. Meanwhile, oh, this is perfect. Okay. So fun, you guys get to see my kitchen, it's so great. Okay, so then I'm going to cut the cabbage. So I'm gonna use, again, half of my cabbage in I love cabbage in roasted vegetables. Okay, and I like to actually keep them really big because they actually cook super fast. So I'll keep them like in chunks, like so. And then I really like to make things that are, whatchamacallit, like coleslaw-like, but not really. It's like I really like to get really close to the core. So give me one sec. This is why a paring knife is perfect. Done. Okay, so we're going to basically shred this. Also, just want to make sure that I took that top layer off. Not bad. Okay. So now I'm going to shred this. Yes. Let me throw this in the pan and then I will do that. So the Mega Chef is, and you'll have like so many brands. There'll be like Squid brand. There's like all these different brands. And, you know, I would recommend just trying as many as you want. The nose on the Mega Chef is really fragrant. And it has almost like a really strong flavor forward profile. So for me, it's really great with cooking because it just leaves a lasting impression. But with stocks, I like to use kind of like a lighter fish sauce. So the 3 crabs is perfect because, I mean, you take so much time in building a myriad of flavor that having something like a strong fish sauce overpowering, that is really hard because all you taste and smell is just the top of the fish sauce. And so, you know, just kind of utilizing it in that sense is really important. So I'm going to chop, 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 chop. It's gonna go faster. So sometimes I'll just prep these ahead of time. I really enjoy having vegetables already prepped out because, you know, like this shredded cabbage would go great with, you know, in a salad, or the shredded cabbage would go great in a rice bowl or however, but I'm going to mix, like kind of season it so you know. So anyway, again, we have this squash, nice and charred, and I don't know if I seasoned it, but it doesn't hurt. And then I'm gonna add this. It's gonna smoke up so fast. Chili, chili, chili. Okay, but as you can see, again, it's like getting jammy. So I'll let it kind of cook in this liquid a little bit. I'm gonna taste it actually. So good. It's a little salty. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna up the vinegar. Actually, I don't even think I added vinegar, which is embarrassing. So I'm actually gonna do double the amount of liquid as everything else. So everything else was basically the amount of this bowl. So I'm just gonna do that. And if you guys want, there are no recipes, but if you want, you can always reach out to me. I love talking food. And I love sharing these techniques. So if you ever need a recipe from me, I'll just make one up for you. Okay. So then that's it. And it was also not that sweet. So I'm going to add more sugar. Okay. Okay. So then we have these two ready to go on deck. We have green beans to finish. And then we have fennel, and then we'll be done. And I'll finish all this up. So I love cooking green beans, and I love them with garlic, and I love them sauteed. But I'm going to show you kind of my other favorite technique with using them, and it involves using them fresh. I'm going to check on my squash though. Okay, reduce it. Okay. Whew, whew, whew. Okay, so I'm going to line this all up. Kind of find an edge, stick with it. So all the tops. Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. This cutting board is so dirty. Okay. All right. Just clean up a little bit. Okay. So then I'll take the top off. And I will slice them super thin. And so what I'm going to be making is kind of like a salsa. And you can use it. I make a fried rice. I don't know if anyone remembers eating it at Revelry, but it was one of their favorite dishes there. I used to be the chef at Revelry, and it's not open anymore. But I made a scallop fried rice that people loved, and I used this as a main flavor agent, and I called it, I actually don't know what I called it. I don't know, but I called it like green bean salsa. So it kind of looks like that. Is the chili getting to you? No. Okay, good. I like using rice vinegar, but you can use apple cider. You can use, look at it. Isn't that so good? You can use apple cider. You can use sherry. You can use red wine vinegar. It really doesn't matter. It depends on what kind of profile you're looking for. I was looking for something sweet and spicy and acidic and savory. So rice vinegar always has this like touch of sweetness. When I do any of these things, when I'm prepping, I always go straight into a container just because, you know, I'm going to eat it for later anyways. So I'm going to rinse this off, wipe it down so I can use it for the next round. Okay, so again, so this looks so good. Oh yeah. Oh my God, embarrassing. Okay, doesn't that look so good? And it just is preserved in this like pickling liquid. So you just keep it like that. Gorge. Okay, so I'm gonna keep doing this green bean stuff. Oh, I'm just gonna go right into the container. So put that all in there. And do it again. So yeah, you can use this mix in pastas. You can use this mix in making fried rice, which I recommend you trying. It's really good. You can add it to your salads, make it into a vinaigrette. What else can you do with this? You can put it on a tortilla chip. You can add it to cream cheese and again, eat it with a tortilla chip. It fell. Like to line it up perfectly. 10 minutes, cool. All right. All right, cut. it to the very end. And then I'll throw the ends away. Okay, and then all this. Sorry? This one? This is a Nikiri. Oh, they make them really, really, it's like a regulated size. I don't know what size they usually have it, but usually they don't, like Japanese knives, there's so many that if you ask for Nikiri, they're always going to be like a cleaver, you know? The idea is to create a tapered edge so that you're slicing and nothing sticks to your knife. It just kind of like pops off of your knife. So that's always really nice. And that's why I like using it. Yeah. So I'm who? Oh, how? Okay. This is a complicated question. Did Matt ask me this? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh, that's your question. How I sharpen my knives. I use whetstones. So I use a 3 different type of sizes, depending on how sharp my knife already is. The grit, the higher the grit, the more fine the stone is. So I use a 400 grit for my really, really dull knives and my really thick German knives. And then I'll go from 400, then I'll go to 1,000, then I'll polish it off at 6,000. And if I'm using like a knife that I regularly sharpen, I'll go from 1,000 to 6,000. But I'll keep all my whetstones in water. And yeah, and I basically go from corner to corner and I utilize the whole stone and I make sure that every corner, like from one end of the corner, I'll go from one tip to the other corner, I'll end it at the other tip. So, okay, so I'm cutting the scallion whites to this salsa. And then I'm adding this. You can always save this in, for garnish in the future, but I'm going to add some to our roasted veg mix. So this is all that we have in here. I'm going to add a bunch of cracked pepper, like big cracked pepper. So I'm going to go on my really loose setting on my pepper grinder. I'm going to salt it with salt. Let it sit for a little bit, and I'm going to finish all these. I won't have time to do the fennel, but if we do, we'll do something really fun. So anyway, this has been salted, and as you can see, all this water has leached out. You want to squeeze it out as much as you can. And so yeah, squeezed it out. So it becomes this like really kind of leathery texture type of vegetable mixture. I'm going to use my wakame. Squeeze this all out as well. And I love eating this with just rice. Sometimes I need like a late night snack and I have rice in the freezer. Trader Joe's makes these like microwave packs of rice that it's so good. They have one where it's a multi-grain one and it's perfect if you're a one person, like if you live alone, because I just microwave a pack of rice and then I'll just eat this. So anyway, this is basically what the mix looks like, okay? And I am a huge advocate of not washing too many dishes. So I'm gonna rinse this out. So I'm gonna go really traditional and I'm gonna do some vinegar. So I'll probably use 1/8 of a cup of vinegar. I'm not gonna go traditional. I'm gonna do a little ponzu. Probably 1/8 of a cup again. And then I'll use some, what do I have here? Do I have sesame oil? Oh yeah, I do. Just right here. Yes, I have sesame oil and I'll pour it in here. How can we make this interesting? No, it's okay. Oh, you know what? I'll use a salsa matcha. Just the seeds mix. Oh my God. So what happens when you can't open a jar by yourself? This is what you do. There's two things. One, I'll either break the bottom and see if I can open it, and I can't. And then, yeah, you just hit it with the back of a knife, just to like pop it off, and it comes off. See, you can live alone and be okay. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That's hilarious. No, but you like learned that on the line. Anyway, again, I'm going to show you this awesome salsa matcha. Can I see? If I'm, oh God. Okay. So as you can tell, it's like all these seeds. It's so nice. There's sesame, sunflower, roasted chili. So we're going to add some pizzazz. So we're going to add some pizzazz to here. Mix this up. Mix this up. I'm gonna get some chopsticks to mix up. And then, yeah, this is basically one of your salads that you can just keep in your fridge. Because the water content is out, what's gonna happen is the vegetables are just gonna seep in all this liquid, and it is a preservative. So it'll last for about 3 days. But you know, it usually just takes me 2 days to eat this. Okay, so now, 2 minutes, that's it? Okay, so we're just gonna keep this as shredded cabbage, just use it. So I'm gonna finish making this. So this is, I added a little salt to soften it up. I'm gonna squeeze some lime juice or some lemon, actually, let's do lime juice. Lime juice, definitely not in season locally from your farmer. But it's okay if you mix, because sometimes lime juice is so necessary. Okay, so you're gonna mix a whole lime in here. Okay. And don't forget, you still have roasted vegetables. So I'll show you how to season that. But first we'll finish this. Okay, if you wanna make this spicy, you can add chili oil. You can add, you know what? We can also make this interesting with some sauté, which is basically like ground shrimp chili oil. And it's just like a paste. So we'll add that to that. Mix it around. It's really great with some, here you go. It's really great with some cilantro, but remember, finish with cilantro. Never put it in here because it'll just, thank you. Add a little salt, some sugar, and some fish sauce to season. Okay, that looks good. And then I'll add some oil to top it off. I will keep it under oil so it becomes this like kind of like jammy kind of salsa mix. See? Let me see. Oh, good. See? Doesn't it look so pretty? Yeah. And then you can eat that. You can literally cook with it. You can use it as a, let me taste it. Okay. Then we have roasted vegetables. After all this prep, I'm like, okay, I have all these roasted vegetables. I'm probably going to use 2 bowls. Too much. But I basically, again, love to put this in a like I always go the highest, like 500-degree oven, 15 minutes. Make sure that there's plenty of oil. I kind of used up all my oil. 1 minute, got it. Oh, it feels like a restaurant. Okay, you're pouring this in. Season heavily. I love spices from Pike Place Market. There's a store called Market Spice, and they have 4 spices that I really love. This one is called 7 Wonder. It's a ground poppy seed. It's ground poppy seed, ground sesame seed. There's no salt. There's cayenne pepper. There's ground garlic. This is really good. So I love using this because it creates a coating on the vegetable. And then this one is crab boil spice, and it's so good on everything. This is Ethiopian Berber, which I'm gonna probably do on this. And then they make this really good Bombay curry with ground up sesames in it. It's so good. So anyway, they also make a really good Jamaican jerk, which is so good. So yeah, I'll toss everything like so. Put it on a tray like so. Make sure it's one level, flat. And then throw it in the oven. Oh, there we go. Throw it in the oven for 15 minutes and everything will be cooked well. And all these seasonings will be on top and you can use it for everything. Okay, that's it.
Oh, we need to unspotlight her. Okay, thank you so much, Diane. That was amazing and energetic, and it smells wonderful in here. And wow, what a lot to learn. Thank you so much. I wanted to give a shout out to Catherine Doimling, who is a great CSA mentor and vegetable chef. You can head over to Cook With What You Have. That's her website, and any vegetable you have, you can type it in and get a template recipe, and that'll help you out. So lots of love over to Catherine. I also wanted to let you know that we are having a Find Your Farmer event tomorrow. So from 12 to 3, we're hosting a Zoom room with lots of breakout rooms. All our farmers are going to be in different breakout rooms. So if you want to purchase the CSA share, send us a quick email, register on our website, www.pnwcsa.org, and we will give you some farmer suggestions, and come on in, meet your farmers, and talk to them about their CSA programs. Finally, one last plug for our beautiful bag with our brand new logo on it. If you loved community supported agriculture, show your love by donating $100. You'll get this full of all sorts of wonderful stuff to cook with. And one final shout out to Conrad Couture, our tech guy, and who's been handling all of the camera work for these cooking sessions. He's been a great help. Thanks everyone, happy cooking, happy eating, hope to see you tomorrow.